All right, let's go ahead and call the Senate to order. Sergeant Arms, please secure the chamber doors. Members, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President.
All right, Senators, on this very beautiful, sunny February 24th, we are very pleased to have Reverend Jody Gunn of the Easton Church of the Brethren in Easton, Maryland, guest of the distinguished senator from the 37th District. Please rise for the invocation.
Welcoming Spirit, we give thanks for the opportunity to be present here today in a state capitol building with a long history of conversation, relationship building, and collaboration. During this session, there is still critical work to be done to ensure the welfare of our state's residents. Working together on behalf of constituents can be rewarding, but it also comes with challenges. Give gracious strength to this group when difficulties or misunderstandings arise. Help them find common ground when it seems elusive, and consensus when for the good of all. Continue to guide this body with humility, compassion, and courage. Enable them to listen perceptibly, to see and think about new strategies for the current issues they are tackling. Help everyone focus and find empathy when making decisions based on the 6 million voices who call the mighty state of Maryland their home. Amen.
Thank you so much. Recognize the senator from the 37th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move to journalize the prayer offered by Reverend Gunn and to thank Reverend Gunn for taking the time to come over this morning and share that wonderful prayer with us.
Without objection, most certainly, Senator, thank you for that. We will journalize the Reverend's remarks and thank her for being here with us today. Thank you. All right, Senators, has everyone recorded their presence? Almost. Good Senator from the 29th. All right, the clerk will take the call. Well, with 43 members present and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is again back in session. Let's see, do we have a resolution today? Senator from Howard and Anne Arundel counties, if we could invite our guests to join us at the front. And as they are joining us, recognize the senator for resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, I ask the body to join us in recognizing the National Alliance of Mental Illness and efforts to support Marylanders living with tardive dyskinesia. Tardive dyskinesia is a movement disorder characterized by involuntary repetitive body movements. Tardive dyskinesia is caused as a side effect of certain medications, most commonly certain antipsychotic medications. TD can make it difficult for individuals with mental health conditions to stick with their medications, which is why it is so important to improve education and awareness so that we can support Marylanders in their journey to find the best possible treatment regimen. On the floor with us today, we have Stephanie Slowly-Little and Carla Chiaraco to thank them for their ongoing work and support of Marylanders with mental health conditions and improving education and awareness of tardive dyskinesia. Ask the body to welcome them and present this resolution.
Clerk will read the resolution in full.
Be it hereby known to all that the Senate of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to the National Alliance on Mental Illness in recognition of your efforts to promote the importance of tardive dyskinesia screening, early detection, and treatment by recognizing May 5th through May 9th as Tardive Dyskinesia Awareness Week. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 24th day of February 2026.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. To the wonderful folks from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Senator Maryland unanimously celebrates your advocacy on Tardive Dyskinesia Awareness Week. Thank you so much for your advocacy. All right. Let's see. I think we have some guests as well today. I recognize the Senator from District 11.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like to introduce and welcome our Doctor of the Day today, former Delegate Dan Morheim. It's great to see him again. As you may remember, he spent 24 years in the House of Delegates, representing the wonderful District 11. He was the longest serving physician in the history of the General Assembly. 45 years as a ER physician, and since leaving office, he served on the Maryland Parole Commission, on the ER Wait Time Commission. He's on faculty at GW, and he continues to serve as a physician in a clinical role, and he's married to my other wonderful constituent, Shelley Morheim, who is an active member of the Arts Commission and the Pikesville Armory Arts Council, Pikesville Armory Foundation. Thank you. Welcome.
Wonderful. Welcome. Great to see you. And whose daughter I had the pleasure of working on a campaign with back in 2007. So, yes, wonderful family, wonderful family. Great to see you. Yes, Senator from Baltimore City County.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Today I'd like to ask the body to give a warm Senate welcome to one of the great institutions, academic institutions in the 43rd District. We have over 130 Towson University students. I believe you're, yes, please stand up. And you're president of the, this is the Student Government Association. We have students that are arts, the sciences, education. They can all stand up. But could the president of the SGA, could you wave your hand so we can know who you are? She's in the back, sorry. We also will welcome President Ginsburg, who's also in the gallery as well. Okay, oh great, they're back there. All right, warm Senate welcome.
Welcome to Towson University. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you all being here. Keep up the great work. Great things happening at Towson. Thank you. Yes, Senator from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to introduce a friend, Larry, if you stand up. He's here shadowing me today, watching how we make laws down here. One thing is he's a veteran, among other things, and he was the deputy wing commander and squadron commander in the Air Force, and after retiring, they called him back to active service twice. So please welcome him, my constituent and my friend.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your service. Thank you. All right. Additional, Senator from Anne Arundel? Nope. Okay. Any further introductions? Any further introductions? If not, so be considered the reading of the journal for the prior legislative day. Let's go into our administrative business. Or excuse me, we don't have any introductions. We did those last night. Let's go to second readers. We'll start with second readers today. We'll start with finance. Report number 8. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 113, Chair, Finance Committee, Human Services, Department of Aging and Commission on Aging, the Longevity Ready Maryland Act, favorable with one amendment.
All right, we'll recognize the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you. Little change here, Mr. President. Thank you. Human Services, Department of Aging and Commission on Aging, the Longevity Ready Maryland Act. It's a departmental bill that codifies the Longevity Ready Maryland Act and requires the Secretary of Aging to lead implementation of the plan by July 1st, 2029, and every 4 years thereafter, the Secretary must provide the Governor and the General Assembly with an updated comprehensive Longevity Ready Maryland plan. There is one amendment. The amendment revises the scope of programs and resources that the Secretary is required to coordinate as part of the plan and requires the department to maintain a resource on its website for monitoring implementation of the plan. Requires the Secretary to consider strategies included in plans developed by local areas agency on aging, and requires an initial or revised plan to be informed by certain state and local plans. Finally, the amendment alters the membership of the Commission on Aging. Sort of rewrote the whole bill. I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 113 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 123, Senator Simon Eyre, Oversight Committee on Quality of Care in Nursing Homes and Assisted Living Facilities, membership, favorable with one amendment.
Recognize the senator from the 37th as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 123, as amended, alters the membership of the Oversight Committee on Quality of Care in Nursing Homes and Assisted Living Facilities by reducing the number of senators and delegates appointed, removing representatives of 2 defunct organizations, adding a member representing Leading Age Maryland, and specifying that representatives from the assisted living facilities, to the extent practicable, should represent programs of different sizes. The amendment corrects the name of the House committee referenced, removes defunct organizations, updates the name of the Maryland Association for Medical Adult Day Services, and provides flexibility in the naming of representatives of the assisted living industry as described. There's no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 123 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 336, Senator Feldman, Task Force on the Responsible Use of Natural Psychedelic Substances, extension, favorable with 2 amendments.
Recognize the senator from the 22nd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill extends the task force on the responsible use of natural psychedelic substances for an additional year and requires the task force to submit an updated report of its findings and recommendations to the governor and the General Assembly. There's one amendment. The amendment adds a representative of the historically black college or university in the state to the task force. There's no fiscal impact. I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 2 committee amendments are adopted. Senator has an amendment.
Yeah, I'll just note that this is a task force, and the sponsor of the bill said he'll take one for the team.
Excellent.
To serve on
Thank
it.
you.
So,
Thank you for that, and we will certainly keep that in the keep that noted as well. Yes, looks very. I hear that he's very much looking forward to serving on the task forces. All right. On the amended report, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none. Senate Bill 336 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 394, Senator Guile, Public Health Expedited Partner Therapy, Bacterial Vaginosis, favorable with 2 amendments.
Recognize the senator from the 33rd as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 394 adds bacterial vaginosis to the list of conditions for which antibiotic therapy can be provided to an individual under the state's Expedited Partner Therapy Program. Amendment 1 is technical. Amendment 2 makes a stylistic change and adds licensed certified midwives to the list of healthcare practitioners who may prescribe, dispense, or otherwise provide antibiotic therapy to a partner of a diagnosed patient under the Expedited Partner Therapy Program. There is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 394 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 444, Senator Kramer, Certificate of Need Immediate Healthcare Facilities, favorable.
Recognize the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 444 alters the Certificate of Need requirement for an intermediate care facility that offers residential or intensive substance-related disorder treatment services. The bill specifies that the Certificate of Need is not required to establish, operate, or change the bed capacity at an intermediate care facility if written notice is filed with the Health Care Commission at least 40 days in advance, and the Commission finds that the proposed facility or change in capacity is not inconsistent with the state health plan, will result in the delivery of more efficient and effective health care services, and is in the public interest. There are no amendments, no fiscal impact, no opposition at the committee hearing. The bill received a unanimous favorable report. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 444 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 461, Senator McCray, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, Heat and Eat Program, eligibility, favorable.
Recognize the senator from Baltimore County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 461 conforms state law to federal requirements by altering eligibility for the Heat and Eat program within the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program to specify that a household is eligible to participate if the household includes an elderly or disabled individual. There are no amendments. There's no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 461 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Let's move over to the Committee on Education and Energy. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, Madam Majority Leader.
There was one introduction
Please.
that I was supposed to do before and didn't get it done. So I would like to do that now if I can.
Please.
You might have heard some little voices here this morning. Please join me in welcoming parents and their young children who are joining us today for Maryland Family Networks Day in Annapolis. I think there's some, maybe they've already left.
Oh, no, they're back
Okay.
here. They're here.
Okay. And they are hosting a sit-down lunch for legislators in the Miller Conference Center after the floor, and we're invited to come and talk to them about what it's like to be a parent of a child under 5, in case anybody doesn't know. Okay, so all are welcome.
Excellent, thank you. It's glorious, right? It's just glorious. Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. All right, let's move. Oh, yes, Senator from the 22nd.
Yeah, just a quick introduction
Please.
with the Family Network. I wanted to, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, if you can help me recognize one of my good friends from college, Felicia Jones, who's here. She's with the Maryland Family Network, and she's celebrated 20 years of being in Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a Kappa Phi chapter at the University of Maryland College Park. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's jump back into education, energy, and the environment. This is report number 6. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 108, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Environment, Water Resources, and Wetlands, Enforcement, favorable, one amendment.
Recognizing the Senator from District 9 is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this is a departmental bill from the Maryland Department of the Environment. It authorizes the department to impose an administrative penalty for violations of provisions of the Environment article relating to the appropriation or use of waters, reservoirs, and dams, as well as wetlands and riparian rights. The bill also expands the department's authorization to use administrative orders for violations related to waterway construction and dam safety, standardizes related administrative notice and hearing procedures, and specifies that under existing civil penalty provisions, each day is a separate violation. There is one committee amendment. The amendment requires MDE to take certain steps before imposing an administrative penalty on certain categories of dam owners or water infrastructure asset owners, and to consider a violator's degree of cooperation with the department and any good faith efforts to address a violation when imposing the administrative penalties under the bill. I'd like to move the adoption of the committee amendments and the favorable committee report.
All right, floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, yes, recognize the Senator from the 29th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could have the floor leader.
The floor leader yield for a question?
Yes.
Senator may proceed.
Thank you. When I look at this bill, I see how extensive it is and what a change it is, and I just wanted to ask a few questions about it. If I understand it right now, if MDE was to investigate, before we get to that, you said that this involves waterways and it involves dams. Does this involve, like in my area, shoreline restoration?
Yes.
This would involve any shoreline restoration projects?
Yes.
Okay, so currently that's a criminal violation?
That is correct.
And
No,
so,
sorry. No, it's civil. You do have to go to court. So it's currently a civil violation, and you would have to up to $10,000 for each pen. And then what this does is it gives the department the ability to impose an administrative fee for up to $5,000.
so how's it increase? So what's it is, so if I did something that on the shoreline that wasn't, one of our constituents did something on the shoreline that wasn't supposed to be there, and right now they would, the Department of the Environment could impose penalties against them civilly, criminally. How is that set up? Because I'm pretty sure they could file criminal charges against them also.
That is, I believe that's correct. It's currently a civil action up to $10,000 per violation
Per day.
per day.
And this changes it.
It adds the administrative action, so they do not have to go to court, of $5,000 per day. But one of the things that we did, Senator, in the bill, because I was concerned about constituents like yours and mine, is we said that before imposing an administrative penalty on a dam owner or asset owner, they must provide the dam owner or the asset owner with written notice of the proposed penalty and an opportunity for an informal meeting considering the proposed penalty. The department then has to use discretion to determine whether a formal enforcement action under this subsection was appropriate, and then they had to review any good faith application from the asset owner or authorized representative to engage in getting a loan or other good faith efforts. So we did make sure that we kind of codified this process so that they wouldn't be hitting them the first time with a $5,000 fee. There's multiple steps before you get to that point.
So you're familiar, when we talk about shorelines, you're familiar with a bill that you heard to change the shoreline stabilization and to enhance where we do living shorelines to some other shorelines this year. And the whole reason that bill was proposed was because of the lack of stakeholder involvement and things that MDE did not do to try to protect the riparian rights of these landowners.
It sounds mostly familiar, but I'd love a bill number and to read it again. Sounds like it could be a great Bailey bill.
It might be a senator from District 29's bill, but anyway, that bill deals with issues where the Department of the Environment failed to help constituents. And they watched, sediment is terrible for the oysters, it's bad for the Chesapeake Bay, and they watched their property while they waited to try to get help, and environmental concerns for years wash away. And when this says this is a riparian right violation, right, when I look at this, what I'm curious about is what does that do? If somebody's trying to work with the process, they do something, all of a sudden now they're dealing with a penalty per day?
I think the way the process works is the department notifies them of the potential violation and then have a meeting, so by letter, then they have a meeting, then they have the opportunity to make a good faith effort before they get the first fine.
So they would not receive any penalty whatsoever for the action that they committed until they had a meeting with the with MDE?
We're confirming that.
So
okay, I guess that is within MDE's discretion.
Okay. So based on their discretion and based on the lack of stakeholder, engagement that MDE's had in some of these issues, it would sort of give me caution or reservation to deal with this. When we talk about the difference, when we talk about the rules of evidence, does this change the rules of evidence at all in a hearing with the administrative law judge?
It does not.
So it would mean that when they were there, it could simply be hearsay evidence that could be used against them?
Senator, because so much of this is kind of part of MDE practice, we would have to actually follow up with the department in order to answer that question.
I appreciate that, but I think that's important when we're talking about something so significant. A bill that has the opportunity to literally change people's lives because it changes where they live and living on the water, right? But we'll jump away from that just for a minute. When we talk about, see the bill talks about dams. How deep is the water would the dam be to be covered under this property, under this bill?
There's something like 600 to 700 different bodies of water that qualify as dams. I believe they all have different depths, Senator, and that there are different levels of risk, that are articulated in the table that MDE keeps.
So if a farmer was to do an impoundment on their property and they were to put a dam of 3 feet, would they be required does this now change that so they'd be required to get a permit for that because it utilizes a dam?
It changes nothing about the permit requirements for dams. Those are staying the same.
Okay, I appreciate that because there are standards that apply in agriculture. When we're dealing with runoff, we can build a dam that would potentially have up to, I think it's 40 or 48 inches of water that would not be required to get a permit. But when I read the bill, it doesn't say anything pretty general but when it talks about dams. Thank you for your answers.
All right, on the amendment, let's go to the senator from Baltimore City and County, followed by the senator from District 6.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I apologize, colleagues, I was not at that hearing or the voting session on that. I share some of the concerns that was just expressed by our colleague, and just want to get some clarifications on the definitions of dams and waterways. Okay, so
question for the floor.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, question for the
Sarah, may proceed.
floor leader. So there are dams that are on private property. There are dams that are used to address existing water flows. Are these dams that are created for, say, a housing development or any other use that's currently covered under state law?
I don't think it specifies how the dams were created. It once again goes down to the permitting requirements, for dams that are of a certain size and risk.
Okay.
And they could be owned by a housing, association. I think, a lot of these, as our state has grown, there were lots of these farmers' fields. And in fact, I live in an HOA that has one of these dams that's been there for like 50, 60 years. Right. And now it's no longer used by their previous farmer, but we are in charge of maintaining the safety of that dam.
But this section of the code covers wetlands, and it could be on the shore, it could be wetlands that are urban wetlands, it could be wetlands everywhere. So just want to really clarify, because why this is important for a number of reasons, but when the state issues stormwater management contracts, when local governments are looking at their requirements, the violation often goes to the developer or whoever is doing the work or who has committed the violation. So I want to be clear about, does this impact all stormwater, our water pollution regulations, everything?
No. I think that the important thing about this bill is that when MDE looked back over the past 3 years, they found that there were 186 sites that are identified as non-compliant with waterway and floodplain construction laws, right?
Right.
And that an estimated 40 of those sites would have warranted administrative penalties under the bill.
Right.
And that there were 132 sites that were non-compliant with tidal wetlands laws, and 75% of those would have warranted administrative penalties.
Yeah.
So we have these instances where we are out of compliance with Maryland law, and it's, I think it's time intensive and costly for MDE to have the first thing that they do go to a civil hearing, and then the fine is up to $10,000.
Right.
And so the whole point of this is to get people's attention earlier. And then that is why we added that amendment that they have to have, they have to issue the notice, have a meeting, and then the department has to take into consideration the good faith effort of that asset owner in trying to rectify the problem, because these things can take time. And that is why we established the small dam safety program last year, which is one of these ways that a small farmer or an HOA could go to that loan fund, and get some financial support to be able to repair the dam that is in their possession.
Right. The troubling part of this, Mr. President and colleagues, so this is just to, maybe we can look at this again. The waiving of the hearing, the waiving of being able to do a payment in lieu of correction, I think we have seen the, not using that too much, and then instead of actually fixing the issue, that they're able to just pay the penalty.
Senator, that is not in this bill.
It is saying that there is some discretion, right?
There's some discretion about the fine.
Right.
So if you're working with a small farmer,
right,
and it's they're trying to get together the money or apply for the loan to fix the dam, then there is some discretion to waive the fine. Right. They're not saying that they're going to waive, the law and do a payment in lieu, because that would be dangerous.
Yes, and the dangerous issue is what, again, the senator raises, is that the department should not have 108 cases of people who have violated the law where they have not been cited. And so the challenge is that MDE does not enforce Maryland law or does not cite every interest. And what this appears to be doing is to allow them to continue that practice if they say, well, the developer promised that the dam, not just the dam, that the stormwater won't flood the residents, but the residents are now sitting with water in their basement. I mean, this is
So
some
if I
of
can just clarify that there is nothing.
Mr. President, can I just interject?
Yes,
because
yield to the chair of the
obviously
committee.
some of this I think could be offline conversation in Triple-E later. And so I actually, Mr. President, can we move to special order this bill till tomorrow? I think we can answer some of these questions and come back, okay?
Senators, move to special order. Are there any objections to the motion? Without objection, the bill will be special ordered at the appropriate time tomorrow. All right. Let's go. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 184, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Office of the Attorney General, Environment and Natural Resources Crimes Unit, Reporting Requirement, favorable.
Senator from Baltimore City is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill changes the date from November 30th to October 1st by which the Attorney General must submit an annual report on 1, the activities of the Environment and Natural Resources Crimes Unit, and 2, any actions taken by MDE or DNR in response to the findings. There are no amendments, there's no cost to the bill, and no opposition, and this is just for uniformity purposes. I move the favorable report. Thank you.
All right. All right, floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion on the report? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 184 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 200, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, State Government Council for Open Data Membership and Responsibilities, favorable with one amendment.
Recognize the Vice Chair of the Committee is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a departmental bill that simply streamlines the Open Data Council and changes it. Right now, it's an unwieldy 37 and requires a whole lot of departments to try to have presence, and even though they don't have expertise. There's a committee amendment that just that clarifies that one for-profit, one nonprofit, and one private utility be among the group of smaller folks. There's no fiscal note. It passed unanimously. I move adoption of the amendment and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 200 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 243, Senator Simon Ayer, Uniformed Services Spouses Act, favorable with one amendment.
Recognize the bill sponsor is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill does 5 main things. First, it expands eligibility for priority registration for courses at public institutions of higher education. 2, it extends eligibility for veteran services at community colleges at veteran spouses. 3, it expands eligibility for senatorial and delegate scholarships to active service member spouses. 4, it expands eligibility for hiring and promotion preferences related to veterans. And 5, expands veterans' eligibility applicants for specified state and local employment positions. There was one committee amendment. It adds all committee as co-sponsors. There was no opposition, no cost to the bill. I move the amendment and favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 243 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 256, Senator Gallion, State Board of Professional Landscape Architects, revisions, favorable with one amendment.
Recognize the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill renames the State Board of Examiners of Landscape Architects to be the State Board of Professional Landscape Architects. The bill also substitutes the term professional landscape architect for licensed landscape architect throughout the statute. It alters the qualifications for membership on the board as well as related duties. It repeals a requirement related to payment of an examination fee directly to the board. It expands provisions related to the use of a testing service to administer the examination. It authorizes the board to issue an emeritus status license and clarifies a permit requirement for certain businesses. There is one committee amendment. It simply adds a co-sponsor. I'd like to move that amendment and ask for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 256 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Let's move over to judicial proceedings. This is report number 5. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 68, Senator Charles, driver's license, driver skills examination, motorcycle safety awareness, favorable with 2 amendments.
Recognizing the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 68, as amended, this bill requires the Motor Vehicle Administration to include at least 5 questions related to motorcycle safety awareness in the pool of questions for the driver skills examination required for the issuance of a driver's license, and that at least one of those questions appear on every examination. There were 2 committee amendments. Amendment number 1 adds a title and a preamble, and amendment number 2 adds clarifying language. I'd like to move the bill, move the amendments.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objection? Oh, yes, let's hear from the good senator from Montgomery County.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Real fast. This is something that would just be applicable for those people in the motorcycle safety course. What exactly? Again, I apologize.
So there are a total of 103 questions in a pool that when you take your driver's license exam, and out of that 138 questions, 18 different knowledge portals are where they pull those tests from. It happens randomly, and so each test has 25 questions in total. But what was happening was there were never always going to be a question that dealt with motorcycle safety. And we had an individual from my district who lost their life in a motorcycle accident, so they wanted to make sure that when people get their license, they would have to at least take one question to understand motorcycle safety before they got their driver's license.
Got it. So this is for those who are in automobiles to have greater awareness with regard to those of us on motorcycles.
Yes, sir.
Is that, got it. Sounds like a great concept. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mr.
The
President.
Senator's trying to work, keep other senators in mind here. So,
And I appreciate it.
yes, that's very good. All right. On the amendments, any further discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the two committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 68 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 81, Senator Folden, Criminal Law, School Resource Officers, Prohibition on Sexual Activity with Students, favorable.
Recognizing the bill sponsors, the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this bill expands the existing statutory prohibitions on specific sexual activity for law enforcement officers with a student enrolled in a school where the officer serves as a school resource officer. The bill would take effect on July 1st, 2026. There are no committee amendments. I would move the adoption of the favorable committee report, Mr. President.
All right, floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Oh, yes, sir. We're going to Senator from the 20th District on the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for the floor
Will the floor
leader.
to yield?
Yes, Mr.
Senator may proceed.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious, Senator, what's the background of this bill and the reason for it? Because I thought this behavior was already prohibited.
It is prohibited for those that are under the age of 18. However, we have unfortunately had experiences where students have been basically groomed and under the direction or under the, I guess, overwatch of a school resource officer. And once they turned 18, while they were still enrolled in the school, that unfortunate circumstances evolved to encourage and warrant this bill.
Okay, thank you. So past behavior exempted 18 and over, even though they were a student.
Correct.
And so is that the same rule applies to teachers?
I wouldn't know if it, I mean, I would think that it does because it falls under the position of authority, but I'm not 100% on that.
So
it does, right? Okay.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
what
it does.
does?
I'm sorry, it does. I'm
Could
getting
you-
a nod.
Okay, so what does? I mean,
That when you're in a position of authority,
Yeah.
that even though you may be of a legal age, if you're in a position of authority and there was the circumstances, the opportunity, would prohibit such sexual relationship.
So the school resource officer is still in a position of authority, so.
But it
why
wasn't
would-
an educator. It was separate.
I'm sorry.
They weren't an educator, so they were separate. They were they were brought in, so it was important for us to give clarity on this issue.
Okay, so this will make it clear that school resource officers will be treated like school teachers and administrators, just no contact with students, period, no matter what the age.
That are in their, correct, that are under their care and custody.
Okay, well, okay.
Yep. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Senator. All right, any further discussion on the report? Further discussion on the report? If not, any objections to the report? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 81 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 131, Senator West, Estates and Trusts, Fiduciaries, Attorney-Client Privilege, favorable.
Another piffle. Yes, recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill establishes that the attorney-client privilege protects a communication between an attorney and a client that is the fiduciary of an estate of someone who died. The bill merely clarifies that the existence of a fiduciary relationship between the fiduciary and a beneficiary of the estate does not constitute or give rise to a waiver of the attorney-client privilege. An identical bill was passed by this body last year unanimously, but was left on the floor over in the House. So once again, we unanimously passed this bill in our committee this year. There was no opposition, there are no amendments. So I hereby move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 131 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 182, Chair, Judicial Proceedings, Adult Protective Services, Modifications, favorable.
Recognize the Senator for the Capital City is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This departmental bill makes numerous changes to statutory provisions related to reporting, investigation of abuse, neglect, and exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Specifically, it includes expanding reporting methods to include an online reporting portal. It requires local departments of social services to include as part of the investigation a determination of whether the vulnerable adult is at risk of harm, and it requires local departments to make a finding that abuse was indicated, not indicated, or undetermined. It also repeals a provision that requires that investigations must be completed within 10 days if an emergency circumstance exists. Also, it's altering and establishing numerous definitions under the title. There are no committee amendments. I move for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 182 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 298, Senator Henson, Department of General Services, Maryland Capitol Police, statewide jurisdiction, favorable with 2 amendments.
Recognizing the bill sponsor is the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill alters and expands the jurisdiction of Department of General Services and Capitol Police within Department of General Services. The bill takes effect on July 1, 2026. There are 2 committee amendments. Amendment number 1 provides for advance notice by MCP to the Secretary of the State of Police or their designee under certain circumstances in which MCP exercises jurisdiction. Amendment number 2 strikes a provision of the bill relating to MCP's duties. I move for adoption of the favorable committee report with amendments.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments in the favorable committee report. Recognize the minority whip on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if the floor leader would yield for question.
Will the floor leader yield?
Yes.
Senator may proceed.
Thank you. So I think I know what this bill is trying to get at because of the incident we had last year and in previous years. I know that put the jurisdiction of Maryland Capitol Police in the spotlight, and there were concerns. I was briefed a while ago about them wanting to have more of a circumference, obviously, to deal with threats. And I see the amendments here, but is this, the way it reads initially is almost like we're letting them have the authority to investigate anything statewide. Does it have to pertain to a potential criminal activity that involves government buildings, government figures, or I don't know if you could expand on that.
Certainly. So you're absolutely correct that right now the Department of General Services, Capitol Police, has jurisdiction not just within the state-owned facilities, but in a 1,000-foot perimeter around the state-owned facilities. So this would alter that perimeter to be a 2,000-foot perimeter around the state-owned facilities. And then as it relates to specific crimes or laws to enforce, what it says is that in addition to those powers that are surrounded by the geographic location of the facilities, that MCP police officers may investigate and otherwise enforce statewide the criminal laws under Title 12 of the Criminal Procedure, parking, and motor vehicle laws as well. If an MCP police officer exercises these powers, they have to provide notification of the investigation and the enforcement, and they have to provide it reasonably in advance to the Secretary of State Police or their designee.
Two questions. One is the context of that officer doing that, parking or other types of enforcement, any type of enforcement outside of the 2,000-foot perimeter, is the context that they would be doing that as part of a larger investigation, or is it just they're out driving and I don't know if they get take-home cars, so I'm not trying to cast any aspersions or make any if they're driving home and they see something happen, right now they can't do anything, but this would allow them to, or are they going to be out looking for this kind of thing? I don't know if my question makes sense, but
It does. Two things to remember there. One, this bill was supported by the Maryland State Police Chiefs Association, so it was done in consultation with local departments. You also hear referenced in the amendments the Maryland State Police as well, so it was done in consultation with Maryland State Police. What this bill would do is supplement in ways that DGS can be a helpful partner in enforcing the law in other areas of the state that extend beyond the perimeter from DGS buildings. So we have to also consider capacity too, because to your question, Senator, what they're not looking to do is to extend beyond their capacity, and that's to be involved in matters that wouldn't have a relation to their core duties.
it's just more of an opportunity for them when incidental things arise or when there's an emergency for them to be empowered to go beyond the now what would be 2,000 feet. Is that a fair way to characterize it?
That's correct, Senator.
And then finally, a second question would be, I believe they get the same training that any sworn law enforcement officer gets in the state of Maryland, Maryland Capitol Police. There's no needed change to their training, correct? It's all the same training.
That's correct, Senator.
Okay. So the gist of this bill is going to the 2,000 feet, but also having some additional tweaks to be sure we have a common sense policy for how they would conduct themselves outside of the 2,000 feet. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. All right, on the two committee amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the two committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 298 is hereby ordered, printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 426, Senator Sidnor, Public Information Act, Divorce Records, favorable.
Recognize the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you very much. This bill requires the custodian of public record under the Maryland Public Information Act to deny inspection of a record pertaining to a divorce proceeding, including an application for divorce, financial records submitted as a part of the divorce proceeding, a record of a divorce settlement, and a custody order. However, the bill does not apply to a final decree in the divorce proceeding, and the custodian must release records pertaining to a divorce to certain interested people. There were no committee amendments. I move the favorable committee bill.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 426 is hereby ordered, printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 472, Senator Heddleman, Baltimore County Code of Public Local Laws, 2025 edition, legalization, favorable.
Recognizing the senator from Baltimore County as the floor leader.
Thank you very much. This bill legalizes the 2025 edition of the Baltimore County Code of Public Local Laws and any supplement to it that contains laws enacted by this General Assembly. The bill takes effect on July 1st, 2026. There were no committee amendments. I move the favorable committee report.
Just out of curiosity, what would happen if it didn't pass? Unclear?
I have no idea.
Stays in 24, question. I guess, maybe?
That's a good question.
Interesting. Yeah, fascinating.
Don't do that.
Yeah, right. That's funny. All right. Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 472 is hereby ordered, printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 480, Senator McKay, Off-Highway Recreational Vehicle Recreation Oversight Board, establishment, favorable.
Recognize the senator from District 1 as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this bill establishes an Off-Highway Recreational Vehicle Recreational Oversight Board that will advise the Secretary of Natural Resources on the operation, acquisition, regulations, and general oversight of the trails and recreation in the state. There are no committee amendments. I move that the adoption of this favorable committee report is received. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. At some point, we're probably going to have personal aircrafts as this. You know, with these drone aircrafts that are coming, I feel like it's like the next big frontier.
We can make them in Allegheny County, sir.
There we go. There we go.
Just
all right. On the report, any discussion, any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 480 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. All right, Madam Secretary, if we could please ring the bells, and if we could please do a quorum call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 45 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. We have third reading calendar number 14. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 77, Chair, Budget and Taxation Committee, State Contracts, Prohibited Provisions, Exemptions.
All right, Senate Bill 77 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 77 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 91, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, State Board of Elections, Address Confidentiality Program, Designation of Contact Person.
Senate Bill 91 is on third reading, final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 91 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 109, Senator Simon Eyre, Anne Arundel County Residential Property Tax Payment Deferrals Eligibility.
Senate Bill 109 is on third reading, final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has anyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 109 have received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 109, Senator Simon Eyre, Anne Arundel County. Nope, that's wrong. Senate Bill 194, Senator Simon Eyre, Income and Property Tax Incentives, Members and Veterans of the Space Force application.
Senate Bill 194 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 194 have received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 218, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, State Superintendent of Schools, prolonged state of emergency, authority to declare.
Senate Bill 218, third reading, final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 39 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 218, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. I missed one by mistake. I got out of sorts here today. Let's go to 13, calendar 13. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 99, Senator Kagan, Open Meetings Act, County Board of Education, Enhanced Requirements, Local Boards of Education Transparency Act.
Senate Bill 99 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 99 have received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Let's go to calendar 15, third reading calendar 15. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 225, Senator M. Washington, Environment, Interjurisdictional Watersheds, Flood Management.
Senate Bill 225 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 225 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 257, Senator Simon Eyre, Mel Noland Woodland Incentives and Fellowship Fund, reporting.
Senate Bill 257 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I recognize this. Senator from Anne Arundel has 2 minutes to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. While this bill doesn't rename the Mel Noland Woodland Incentives and Fellowship Fund, last week I was asked who he was, so I wanted to explain my vote and why I'm voting for this. Mel Nolan was born and raised in Dundalk. He contributed to the greening of Dundalk and received the very first plant award in 1991. After retiring from private sector, he became a tireless volunteer for forestry education and tree planting efforts. According to Maryland Forestry Foundation, Mel Nolan was one of the state's preeminent citizen leaders in forestry and the Chesapeake Bay protection. Mel championed sustainable forestry practices across the state and worked tirelessly for the state's forestry boards to support forest education efforts. Mel was named Honorary Admiral of the Chesapeake by Governor O'Malley, the highest award a governor can give to a private citizen. He won many awards, and one included this recognition. Nolan contributed more than 1,500 volunteer hours each year promoting tree planting and wise forest management, and he has lit a spark under hundreds of resource professionals and volunteers. Mr. President, this is a glimpse into Mel Nolan.
Well, thank you, Senator. Thank you. Always like to hear who people are, when programs are named after folks. All right, any further senators wish to explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 257 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 280, Senator Augustine, Natural Resources, State Parks, Terminology.
Senate Bill 280 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote. If not, the clerk will take the call. 45 votes in the affirmative. Senate Bill 280 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 306, Senator Hedelman, Education Board of Community College Trustees for Baltimore County, membership.
Senate Bill 306 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote. If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 306 and received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 403, Senator McCray, Sales and Use Tax, Elementary or Secondary Book Fairs, exemption.
Senate Bill 403 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote. If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 403 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 450, Carroll County Senators, Carroll County Office of Permits and Inspections, denial of commercial permit or license for unpaid personal property taxes.
Senate Bill 450 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote. If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 450, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, senators, that does it. The desk is clear. Desk is clear. Let's go ahead and check in with our committees. Chair of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance will meet at 1 o'clock today for 12 bills, 114 witnesses. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Chair of Education, Energy, and the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Triple E will meet at 1 p.m. We've got mostly environmental bills, but we do have the governor coming in on his energy bill. 108 witnesses. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Senator. Chair of Budget and Tax.
Thank you, Mr. President. At 1 o'clock, we have bill hearings and then budget hearings afterwards, and I have no idea, once again, how many witnesses we have.
Busy times. All right, thank you. Senator, Chair of Judicial Proceedings.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Judicial Proceedings Committee will meet today. We have 10 bills, mostly firearms-related bills, and a number of witnesses, so long day.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Nice and busy. All right, other standing committees, select committees, yes, recognizing the chair of
Anne Arundel.
Anne Arundel
Yep.
delegation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the Anne Arundel delegation meet really quickly? I think we just have 3 bills just to vote on quickly. So thank you, Mr. President. Right outside in the hall.
Wonderful. Anne Arundel outside after this floor. Yes, Baltimore County delegation.
Thank you. The Baltimore County delegation, if we can meet really quickly also for a vote in the red room.
Excellent.
Just following session. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any further delegations? Other announcements? Recognize Senator from District 6.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we know, tomorrow we have our Bible study at 8 o'clock in the Nail Room, and we also have our prayer breakfast coming up. It will be March the 12th. We have a chaplain that also was a chaplain of the Naval Academy and the U.S. Senate. We also have somebody from the Archdiocese, and we also have a rabbi, good friend that we know, that's going to be coming as well. And they're all going to be a part of this prayer breakfast. So we hope, and again, remember, it's free, and we love to see everybody come. Thank you, Mr. President.
Wonderful. Thank you, Senator. Yes, Senator from Baltimore County, Veterans Caucus.
Thank you, Mr. President. Veterans Caucus tomorrow at 8 o'clock in room 150. Open the house. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Senator. Yes, Senator from 35th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Harford County Senators, we'd like to invite everybody to Harford County Night, which is tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Governor Calvert House.
Calvert House. Thank you for that. I'm going to try and make it. We'll see. I've got to check with the kids. We'll see if but I'll try to be there. Yeah. Senator from the 37th.
So, Mr. President, I don't know if this qualifies, but I just wanted to very quickly take a personal moment to wish my daughter, Evelyn, a happy 16th birthday.
Oh,
she's home.
16,
and I
big
just want to know
16.
she's been watching us. And
Very
so, happy
good.
birthday, Evie. You're 16.
Very good. Well, hopefully our birthday present is that, Punch the Monkey found a family, right? So good news across the world, right? It doesn't appear not too many folks are following Punch the Monkey, huh? Okay. Thank you for the Senator from the 7th District. All right. Let's see, any further announcements before we adjourn? If not, let's do a quorum call, please.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 44 members of the chamber and a quorum being present, Senate of Maryland remains in session, recognizing the majority leader.
Mr. President, you must have teenagers in your house.
Just a few, yeah, and preteen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Wednesday, February 25th at 10 a.m.
Without objection, so ordered.